Faith. What does faith mean? What do we have faith in these days? If we listen to the media, our faith is not too strong, right? When you sit down, if you watch the 6 o'clock news at night, you see a lovely person sitting there with papers in their hands, and they got a big smile, and they say, "Good evening." And then they proceed to tell you why it isn't. I'm like, so I quit watching the news. I just read about the news so I can decide what I want to filter through my system. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, yes?
Yes.
And these human experiences also bring up our emotions and pull at our emotional strings. So our faith sometimes can get pulled. I see faith as a pillar in my life. It's a solid pillar. If I step out of that faith because of worry, concern, even fear, I can step back into it anytime I want. We all can. If you look in a dictionary about the definition of fear, it's very, very, very negative. And you start to feel negative just reading that. If you look at the definition of faith, it tells you something about having complete confidence in someone or something. If you ask someone, what do you have faith in? Faith in God, of course. We're almost afraid not to say that, right? Faith in God. Absolutely. I have faith in friends. Some of them. I have faith in some family. I know I can count on these people if I have a need or a want or desire or help. We all have those people in our lives. The question is, do we have faith in ourselves? Do we have faith in ourselves? I hope so. It's so important. There's three things combined: faith, prayer, and belief. These are all very close-knitted, aren't they? Very close-knitted. These three things. We do these things when we pray. We pray up with our personal connection with God. Maybe asking for faith. What really amazes me today, and this has been going on for, I think, just over 2,000 years, haven't changed much, but it amazes me that we know there's this entity, this God, this spirit, this first cause, however you see God. We know it's out there for us. It's our higher self. And it connects with us whenever we call upon it. It delivers to us personally. Yet we've never seen it. I've never seen God. I don't know what God looks like. I have an idea, but we believe in something of the invisible because we know it works for us, because it's been tried and true with us. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, and he's very simple in his explanations, and I love it because it's easy to remember what he has to say to me. He says, faith equals success. Fear equals failure. He says it's just that simple. Look up page 155 of the Science of Mind textbook. It talks a lot about faith in there. It's very cool. I like to read it all the time. Because it also broadens my mind to remind myself of my good. Remind myself that I am living in faith each day. And if not, and if you're not, please call me. I'll remind you how great you are. Because we are great. Right?
Right.
Well, that was good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's right. In faith, we must practice each and every day. How do we acquire and maintain faith? Practice, 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 right? Each and every day, we should go within. Tell our God, tell our spirit, however you had that connection with God, tell God what it is you do want. And we receive it. Just that simple. God, faith, belief, prayer, all pillars for us. I use it each and every day, and I'm stronger because of it. What's really cool about these teachings and about faith? It's free. Everybody can afford it. Isn't that fabulous? And it's all ours forever. God is good. So are we. So it is. Thank you.
All right.
Anyway, I'm glad to be here. Nothing is more encouraging to me than when we stand up here and talk about accepting the responsibility we have for our own lives. Too often we blame others for what we're experiencing. We need to look within ourselves. So what these themes are all about this month, the themes, and I know I'm going to remember the themes, is courage, faith, and what's the third one? Resolve. And what they're really about are the, I call them the spiritual tools that we must have, that are absolutely necessary for each one of us to be able to ignite our potential, our human potential, to set that in motion as we travel this world of form, as we experience all that's going on. We need to ignite that which we are. And what are we? And thinking about this morning, I thought, my gosh, we're an indestructible, eternal, spiritual power. We are this life force that comes from a dimension of infinite possibilities and potential. A life force that Angelo can put on the table when I'm dealing with issues or things that are happening in my life. A life force that will take us into what we call resolve. This is who and what we are. And so this month it's all about how do I accept responsibility for that? How do I look? Because we tend to point our fingers at something else. But those three fingers are pointing back at Angelo. And it's my responsibility to assume the responsibility of who and what I am. And to wrap our minds around this wonderful New Thought belief system that says we're in charge. We have the sovereignty of our life experiences. So that's what this month's all about. And, well, to be really frank, we came here in this plane of existence well-equipped to handle any situation, any issue that comes our way. We're equipped to do that. And we're equipped to enjoy our life experiences. We're not here to suffer. And Angelo's on vacation on planet Earth. And I don't know when I'm going to quit my vacation, but I'm in here for a finish. But I'm on vacation. And when we go on vacation, are we going to suffer and be painful? Or are we going to enjoy what's going on? We're here to experience, and I always say this, and I used it before, the whole enchilada of human experience. We're here to experience it all. And we're not here to say, oh my gosh, I hate what's going on, poor me, how am I going to have? No, we're here to learn and grow from the experience. Yes. That's why Angelo's here. Yes. That's why we're here. We're not here to moan and groan about what we're seeing. We're on vacation, let's enjoy it. Anyway, do we make sense on that?
Yes.
How do we enjoy this? Well, there are things we need to do. And the committee, whoever came up with these themes, showed us how to do it. Thank you. We can't do it without courage. Without courage. What does that mean? I must have the strength in the face of pain, suffering, negative crap that comes my way. I might have the service, the strength to face those obstacles. Angelo has to have the courage of strength to rise above issues and circumstances that make me frightened in my human experience. I have to have the faith and the strength to rise above that and not blame whoever's doing it, but blame myself for bringing into my experience this negative stuff. Okay? I said stuff. That's cool. I'm getting better. Okay. How do we get there? Well, it's not complex. We ministers, I'm talking to myself now, we tend to make this this trip that we take to accept who we are and to really wrap our minds around this New Thought belief system that says we're responsible. We tend to make it too complex, do we? How many agree with that? You know, and I thought about this morning, I says, there is no class that Angela must take to embody this stuff. There is no speech I have to listen to embody this stuff. There's no formula I need to memorize to embody this stuff. It's as simple as taking and making a choice.
Yes.
And as my friend Joe did, and it's free. It's free. And so what does this mean? That means that I need to accept the fact that who and what I am. And when I do that, some very magnificent things occur. I'm able then to use that beautiful, magnificent issue of who I am to put it out there, to set it in motion. And what I always like to say, to go ahead and take this spiritual nature that I am and put it out there, this nature that we are. Love, harmony, and abundance. Angela accepts it. This is who I am. And every breath I take, every thought I think, and every action, every activity that I participate in, I will keep that in mind, that that's who I am. Can we do that?
Yes.
Let's clap for ourselves. That's what we do. And what happens? What happens when we do that? What happens do we do? My friend, I mentioned Barbara Marks Hubbard. She is my friend. And she, a graduate of Emerson Institute, so I can say, yeah, we can hang our hat on her. She got our first doctorate of spiritual evolution from Emerson Institute. And when she had her birthday, I mentioned it last time, I must mention it again because it's important. She said, I'm turning 87 years old. And I'm not getting older, I'm getting newer. And what this month's all about is getting newer. Now what does that mean? It means when I embrace this, embrace who and what I am, I see the magnificent, because what happens is when we put something in mind, it's all about choice. When I choose to do that, what I do, I put my attention on it. And we teach this, that our attention creates an intention. And the intention is that magnificent life force that we just mentioned, that's unlimited. It becomes. And what happens after all that? When I put that choice in, the intention's there, and what is manifested? What is manifested? This month is about manifesting each one of us as the ascended human being. And Barbara Marks Hubbard calls it the new species. If we really want to make changes in this universe, we change it here. And if we have enough of us out there becoming the ascended human being, it's a new species, isn't it? It sounds like a delusion of grandeur, but it's not. It's a new me. And each one of us can say, this is a new me. Isn't that cool? It's good. Anyway, I can't go much further right now today without recognizing someone who embodies all this. It's a legend that we hear about. And most of us have heard it, but I've got to honor that today. Being that this is the month of Valentine's. This Roman Emperor, Claudius II, he decided that there's not only one God, there's 12 of them. My gosh, if I was alive then, I'd have a hard time remembering who these gods are. But there's 12 gods. And he decided that it would be a penalty of prison and death if you congregate or are involved in any way to the Christians in Rome. You're not allowed to do that. And it's a penalty. The penalty is death. Well, you read Valentinus. Valentinus is a Christian minister. And he says, that's nonsense. There's only one God, it's the God of love. And he was a teacher, and he also continued to provide weddings for the Christian community. And celebrations of life. And needless to say, he's put in prison. And he's going to be executed because he believed in the God of love. Oh, cool. So anyway, one of the jailers decided, I've heard about you. You've been making an impact. I have a daughter named Julia. And Julia's blind. Would you be willing to teach her while you're still alive? He said, of course. Of course I will. So anyway, as the legend goes, he taught Julia arithmetic, and he read to her the history of the Roman Empire, etc., etc. And then he decided, I'm going to teach Julie the God of love. And he taught her the God of love. So one day, as the story goes, he was talking about this healing love, this healing energy that we call love. And just about that moment, there's a bright light that shone right in within the cell. And Julie shouted out, I can see! I can see! And so as the legend continues, on the night before he was executed, he wrote a little memo to Julia, and he says this. He says, Julia, continue to believe in the healing love of this love energy that we call God. And he said, and he signed it. This is cool. He signed it from your Valentine. And the date was February 14th, 2069 AD. Now, we can accept that as the truth of our being. I accept it as a wonderful legend. Because what it does, it shows us the tremendous dynamics of our belief system. But what it teaches me too, and I hope all of us do, is that we don't have to pray for anything. Get a life. Once we're an ascended being, why do I need to pray for my good health? Why do I need to pray for abundance? I'm already there. And if I'm not there, I've got to change what I'm thinking, you see. And if we need to pray, then what we pray, how we pray, we don't pray to something, because that's us. We pray from ourselves. You got the idea? Angela will pray from that awareness that I am that, what Joe was saying, that I am that activity of the divine. That's who I am, and that's what I'm going to pray from. Got the idea on that?
Yes. Yes.
Clap for yourself again. Well, anyway, there are lots of stories out there, and I don't know how my time is, but I have several of them. This life force is always with us. It's always there to help us. It allows us to lean on it. It's always there for Angela. I can tell you, I'm celebrating my 48th year in this belief system, and I can tell you it works. Really? If I feel down, I immediately do my Ho'oponopono. All of you know that. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I got this false thinking. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm talking to myself.
Yes.
And what I want to do is I want to get centered. But this is always there. It's always there for us. And there's Kathy Lee Crosby's mom, Linda, tells us a story that kind of emphasizes how this love energy is always there with us. She was asked to attend a private party in the backyard of a friend of hers, and there were several people there. And Kathy Lee, how many of you know about Kathy Lee Crosby? Anyway, no one does. Kathy Lee Crosby was 2 months old. 2 months old. And they attended that garden party in the backyard. But Kathy Lee at 2 months was so enamored by the large pool, oh my God. And you know how kids are, you know. And she got away from her mom and she goes over to the pool and she's looking down and she was enamored of it. Now she can't swim, she doesn't know the danger she's in, but she jumps into the pool. Whew, wow. So Linda immediately jumps up and rushes over there and she was shocked to see what was happening. Kathy was on the bottom of the pool, walking along in the bottom of the pool, and then now and then she'd go up, and she'd get up to the surface, go, and then she'd go right back down and walk to the bottom of the pool. What's that all about? And then she gets to the end of the pool, and she climbs out of the pool. This is a true story. She climbs out of the pool with a big, huge grin on her face, smiling. She's happy. Isn't that cool? That's good. So anyway, what does that story tell Angela? Well, as I thought about it this morning, at 3 in the morning, what I thought about was this. what's kind of wonderful, and the metaphor is that Angelo swims in a sea of love. We swim, all of us, we swim in the sea of love. And if we ever are, change our attitude a little bit and go under, all we need to do is reconnect. And so we breathe in this tremendous life force that's mine. We breathe in and we stay centered in truth, and we're just taking care of being in that sea of love. But if we don't do that, what happens to us? We're gasping for breath and we're at the bottom of the pool. Does that make any sense? It's kind of a metaphor. I want to also, and I think we've got some time, I'm talking fast. How do we do that? How do I stay centered? All this stuff that's going on. How do I stay centered? How do I accept the truth of my being when I'm in the well, I'm going to mention alligators. We're going to mention Tracy tail end. When I'm in the swamp and the alligators are circling me, how do I think spirituality? Well, there's a guy, and it's a story that's pretty well known, and he was interviewed by ESPN. It's a young man named Tony. He's 23 years old, and he loves to go to rodeos. He just loves rodeos. And what inspires him is the fact that he loves this idea of the people riding the massive Brahma bull. And they come out of the chute and they try to stay on the Brahma bull. And I thought about that story this morning because the Brahma in Hinduism is a life force. It's the source of everything we have. It's the Atman. Remember that? The Atman. And so it was kind of interesting. It kind of fits into what we're saying here. So one day he said he studied this for over a year, just watching films, and he realized that the people on those Brahma bulls who stay on longer are those that kind of are connected to, are really in unison with the bull. So anyway, he decided, I'm going to try it out. So he goes to the rodeo, and he's there. And the reporter from ESPN, this is a true story, the ESPN guy is there and he's interviewing. He says, how long have you been bull riding? And he says, well, I've been studying it for over a year, and I believe I perfected it. Wow. This guy's totally in spirituality, not in the physical. He's in the spiritual. And are you trying to tell me that you're the hands-on favorite of women today? Absolutely. I've got it perfected. So anyway, the first rider gets on, and he's fighting, he's struggling to stay on this bull, and he's thrown off. A couple of seconds. The second and third people did the same, but they stayed on longer, and they're still fighting and trying to stay on. So Tony, it's his turn. He's out, and what he did, he became what Joe was saying. He's one with the bull. He was an extension of the bull's muscles and activities. And he's riding and going on a great ride. And that bull really took him for a ride. But boy, was he confident because he was part of the bull. He was, and that's no bull, by the way. And he's part of the bull. And he's in unison. And he wins. What does that tell us? What is the story here? The story is that we, each one of us, are this life form of this divine energy. And once we connect with the Brahma, the Atman, or whatever we want to call it, some people say God. I like to call it source energy. Steve likes to call it the force. I love the word force. That's what it is. And when we're in unison with that, then we can really take care of the alligators in our life. And I'm going to close with the alligators. Here's this guy. He's a billionaire. And his favorite hobby is he keeps in his backyard in a pool 2 alligators. Think about that. 2 alligators. So one day he invites all of his friends over to see his favorite hobby. So he opens the gate, and the people come in, and they're attracted to these alligators. My God, look, this guy's nuts. And then he makes this statement. He says, anyone who's courageous enough, there we go, courageous. Anyone who's courageous and has faith, there we go again, who's willing to jump into the pool and swim the distance will receive $1 million cash from me. And everybody laughs. Oh, God. Except they hear a splash. And they look over, and there's Billy swimming for his life to the end of the pool. And he gets out, and he gets out, and the billionaire says, "You are so courageous. You are so courageous. You have earned yourself $1 million cash." He said, "If I can get my hands on the guy that pushed me in the pool." And I got to thinking, that's a good story to end with. Because we're all pushed into the pool of alligators. We are. What are the alligators in our life? Think about it. It's my insecurities. It's my false belief that everything outside of me is affecting me, that's controlling my life. And I'm so sorry for that. It's those attitudes and this total disconnection from the Brahma itself. And so as we close today, we take responsibility for who we are. And this month we decide that we believe in the I am. I am that I am. And that's who I am. And say with me loud and clear.
And so it is.
We're done. I'm done.